broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for another AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Justified, Season 6, Episode 5, Sounding. I'm John Comerford, joined in the studio by Tamara Berg.
Hey everybody, you can tweet me at Tamara Berg.
And Steve Bottomley.
Hey, you can tweet me at Bottomley Steven.
And don't forget, please subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV, or check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud by searching AfterBuzz TV, so you can see our full roster of 400 shows. Speaking of new shows, we love TV here, so we're going to be talking TV. What if your son was murdered? What, your daughter was arrested? Your child framed? Where does the truth lie? One crime will affect so many lives on the television event of the year, and I'm talking, of course, about ABC's groundbreaking new TV series, American Crime, which premieres Thursday, March 5th at 10 and other times depending on where you're in the country. But please check your local listings. And, of course, it is on ABC. And after you've watched that, they also have their own little podcast. So make sure you join film critic and radio personality Elvis Mitchell, host of the American Crime Podcast, as he takes us on an in-depth look at the ABC show.
Wow.
And each week they're going to have guests on. He'll have a podcast which features a candid conversation with the show creator and creative executive producer, John Ridley, the Oscar-winning screenwriter of 12 Years a Slave.
Wow.
Along with the show talent, discussing the episodes, character storylines, and other timely topics. So go to podcast1.com/American Crime to subscribe now. And while you're on there, go to when you're on podcast1.com, don't forget to check out our AfterBuzz TV shows and our full roster of things there too. So that's a good thing for everybody to check out now, because if you're a fan of TV, this is supposed to be a big deal.
I'm a big fan of crime shows.
Yeah, I know. Aren't they fun?
Yeah,
They're a blast.
So I'm looking forward to this one. I think it'll be good.
And speaking of our crime show, this is Justified we're going to be talking about here. A couple of things that obviously we can't go any further. I just might as well start with the kiss, because everybody else is talking about it.
The kiss?
We were just like 2 weeks ago, we were talking about that sexual tension is going crazy there. Are they going to do anything with that? And boom.
And I said no, I'm pretty sure.
I think we all did. Say, nah, that gets too messy. But no, they didn't.
Did you check the tapes? I said that's where they were headed.
Yeah. So you
did.
but
Steve
did you
called the kiss.
I'm pretty sure I did. I
believe
might
you.
have dreamed that.
Yeah. All right, but when I say no, I actually went, no, don't do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because things get complicated and sticky in a certain way, but not in that way.
Yeah,
it could get that way, but you know.
Well, you have to question Ava's agenda.
Right.
You know, did she really kiss Raylan, or did she just position herself as an option?
Clearly, she's so desperate. She decides to go AWOL. Ava goes AWOL, and takes off, throws the phone away, goes to Limehouse of all people, and then even this is how desperate she was. I thought that was great, and it was hard to put together if you weren't really paying attention. But she's talking to Errol later when she's in the car with him, and he's talking about being shot by Quarles and all sort of stuff, and how he's come back from it and what it's done for him. And she said, there was a time when Limehouse would have killed you himself for that. She just says it, and she goes to Limehouse, and she knows she's got no money for him.
Right?
So,
yeah.
That's how desperate she is.
But he's the defender of women.
Yeah, for a price, and she doesn't have it.
Yeah.
That's when she was negotiating with Limehouse, I was thinking, wait a minute. Are you talking about the money that Boyd never got on the bank
Exactly,
heist?
yeah.
Or are you talking about the pizza portal money that you can't get to anyway?
Yeah.
Right.
That's how desperate she is.
And she pulls out like $1,000.
Yeah. And even Limehouse says, you don't want to, I can't remember the exact line he says, but you don't want to play with me on this.
Yeah, you'd be wise not to play on this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what she's doing completely. She's so desperate to get out of this.
Which is why when she leans in for the kiss, I'm like going, okay, we just had a whole episode of her trying to negotiate and get out and, ditch Errol. No, I'll stay and get right in the middle of you two.
But don't you think Raylan is right? The safest place for you right now is right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything he was saying, he was basically saying, by my side. You know, I can keep you safe. I'll find a safe place for you. You know, she says there's a place in hell for a man who breaks his word. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
The only thing missing was the ring, but Boyd already got to that.
Right.
So, and then the way they ended it, I think I'll stick around for a bit. Okay.
What? That was crazy. I mean, you know, in the past we've definitely seen Raylan being the ladies' man, right? You know, with lots of ladies, and then
the blonde in the bar,
right? And then he has not killed anybody in a long time.
Are you suggesting
they're correlated.
Oh, is that right?
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot going on in Raylan. I think there's a lot of pent up frustration. And I'm not trying to be all innuendo-y, but you know, he's playing this game in a way that is not his typical way of following, you know, Boyd. He's kind of playing by the rules. There's been an extremely low body count this season.
So far.
And one of our viewers talked about, I think it's been like 12 episodes since Raylan's put anybody down.
Wow.
Or 11 episodes. So, you know, he's not performing in the ways that we have seen him in the past with, you know, like hanging out with the ladies. There was a little bit of a thing going on with Winona, but we don't really sure. It's very nebulous. And then, you know, is he going to Florida to see his baby or to see his...
Yeah, and a couple of times he was supposed to, didn't, and all that other
right.
stuff.
So,
but they have kind of positioned him as, okay, so Raylan, you got to grow up.
Right.
And his conversations with Art is about you got to grow up. They start the season with talking with his wife and the kid down in Florida.
Yeah.
Now we haven't visited that in a while, so I'm not sure, you know, where that's going to play. But you know, to your note about, you know, the body count, that's, I don't want to say childish, but it's not thinking like an adult.
Right. Right.
And I think they're kind of writing more to him being grown up, and I'm missing the body count too, by the way.
Yeah, I know you are.
And to that point, the way he was talking to Ava after he got her away from Errol in that open area, and he was talking to her like, "I'm trying to save you here." He was very parental. It's like, "I'm the only one keeping you, and you're making these stupid decisions. What do you got to say for it?" And she was completely. Again,
an absolute foreshadow of Raylan with his teenage daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
He was lecturing to a petulant teenager, and she finally just says, "Are you done, or do you want to yell at me some more?"
I want to yell at you some more.
Right.
So there we go.
I don't know. What do you think about the kiss, John?
I'm still I'm perplexed by it. To be honest with you, I am. So
Flex.
When I was like, "What? No, don't!" You know, because I said that when we last talked about it, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was going, "No, he shouldn't do that. I don't think that's where he's going or headed or anything like that." And just because I think it just muddies up too much of the water. But they have such a history, and you know, let's face it, the things that she was saying, you know, with the whole thing about him coming in to save her with the Bowman thing and helping her out there, and them having their little affair, so to speak. So there's all that there, and I honestly thought, well, let's go back to the point. It probably would have been a bit smarter, more adult to not.
Well, you notice she leaned in. He didn't initiate. And he didn't say much afterwards, except, "I'm just going to sit and wait for Boyd."
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, he knows this territory. It's not like this is his first CI. Sure, maybe his first CI that he's had an affair with, so to speak. But this can't be. I mean, I can't think that he think this is it's gonna end well. Because when does it ever end well when you do that? When you don't keep those things very distinct.
They're gonna get the Dairy Queen though. Raylan and Ava will.
And maybe Raylan knows Ava needs to blow off steam, and she's, you know, so stressed that this is a safe way to blow off steam.
Again, she's very attractive, and you know, it's like he's lonely.
I love how everybody talks about how pretty she is. In fact, can I just do my line?
Sure,
my favorite line.
This is your favorite line.
Well, I have two, but one of them was, you know, Constable Bob.
Yes,
he's back, and he says that, boy, that girl can make a dog break his chain. And Raylan's response just cracked me up about it.
Well,
yes, she's pretty. It's just his read on that was hilarious to me.
It was very much. And apparently, you know, like in Harlan, she's very
The
pretty.
pretty girl.
Yeah.
She's
So-
the pretty girl.
Well, they've got some pretty good-looking hookers in Harlan.
Yeah, they do.
On the show.
Yeah, they do.
And the bartender who was skimming.
Yeah.
Skim milk.
That was when you were.
You got any skim milk? That was one that I thought was really funny. Was my fave though.
Yeah, choo. All right, but okay. Now we'll talk a little about the Raylan side of it, but now let's talk about the Boyd side of it, because obviously he's, when we open up, they're coming back from Lexington, and they're talking about futures.
And where are they? They're
on the
locked
road.
in a traffic jam.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Again, anytime they talk about their future, now I'm
they're
looking
stuck.
for this. They are somewhere stuck. And they're stuck in a
There's
traffic jam
no way.
made by
Raylan.
Remember,
Yeah.
to make sure she's okay.
But once again, it's never a thing of like
It's an
wide
end-
open,
yeah. It's a
sound of
cul-de-sac
music
thing.
on the top of the hill.
Right.
Nope, they're always
There's
stuck.
no way out. Yeah. Sure.
My thing with Boyd is that, when she was freaking out at the end of last episode, getting ready to leave because she
because of
knows
the
Catherine
Albert
Hale's
Ficus.
onto her, or might be onto her.
Right.
She's talking to Raylan. She pops the phone, she drops the phone because Boyd's walking in. They start talking, and he's like, I'm going to take you back. And he goes like loud and hooting and hollering, right? And then, this episode, she comes in, she's made him this, 5-course breakfast, and he's hooting and hollering again. And,
Yeah, there was a lot.
it's just weird to me.
Okay, I had the same reaction.
Did you?
Yeah, I was watching the thing
you.
going, I don't really like Happy Boyd. I'm sorry. He's a little too happy and a little too energetic, and I
It's
kind of
kind
like the
of
brooding, vocal.
Yes.
I much rather watch him stare at her.
In the middle of the night.
I'm so glad that you're on that bandwagon with me, because it's weird and it seems manic and it upsets me.
So disconcerting just because, character-wise, or just because, oh God, what's going to happen because he's so happy and he's going to freak out? What is it?
Yeah,
That-
both,
okay,
both,
got
but
it,
mostly
okay.
number two. Mostly we don't see that. That doesn't seem right. I'm afraid of what's really behind that, because I think that's covering something else.
Oh.
Well, to get really psychological, in order for him to get that excited over something, there's got to be a lot of trust. Because that's a side
true.
of him that no one gets to see.
Well,
Right.
Raylan even points that out. He says, your best place is here, none like that. But he's so delusional. He's going to go through 3 of his men before he suspects you.
Yeah,
Right,
which I
but-
thought was a great point.
Yeah.
But Ava knows this, and Ava knows that. Oh, when the hammer falls and he figures this out, when that pendulum swings, it's going to be bad. So every time, and in fact, he says something when they're waiting to be checked out that she said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And you see in that moment that anything, Ava's in this place where anything Boyd says is cryptic.
Yeah.
It's like 10 times as bad. She has no idea. Like, does that? And she says to Raylan, "I'm waiting for the bullet."
Yeah.
Right.
So Catherine or anybody at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Happy Boyd would make me run. I mean, it's nice to
But
see
he
him
gave her the
happy,
ring back, and there's that stuff. Wasn't that nice and romantic?
It was so romantic. The look on her face, she's
I
like,
know exactly. It's like I'm going looking at her face, and he was looking at her. It's like, what is he reading in that? Why is
why does he not see what we see?
Yeah, it's like, what's going on here? Is he, and the only answer I got was later when Raylan says he's so delusional, and he may be. I mean,
Right.
it's, I got my gal back. I have, because for so long he's been down, and things haven't been working out for him. Mainly Boyd, and everything he's tried is that it hasn't worked. Detroit,
Right.
all those kinds of things.
Right.
It's like, but now I got this money. We got this whole thing. If we get ahead of Avery, I got money. I'm Harlan. I got my
a
lady.
plan.
So I guess he's
One more interesting thing about the breakfast scene, aside from the fact that she was up at 4 in the morning to cook all that
Must
food?
have been, because pancakes, eggs, toast, and
biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy, yeah. That's a lot of carbs. He does not eat that breakfast often. We've seen him with his shirt off. He does not eat like that.
when he was talking about join me and all
Yes.
this on this feast and everything, he's sitting right where Bowman
Bowman
was.
is.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do that shot. So
Oh, yeah.
make
They
sure
keep.
you know.
If they did it with Avery, they keep bringing
Yeah.
it back. It's like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah.
We're setting it up.
You're setting it up.
You gotta keep. Something's gonna happen at that damn table.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting that if the showdown between Raylan and Boyd is
Boyd.
at that table again, and this time he doesn't miss. Or I mean, he shot him last
Right,
time,
right,
but he missed just enough so
Right.
Boyd didn't die. So, but anyway, so I thought that whole storyline was interesting between Boyd and Ava, and then Ava to Raylan. because if she wasn't desperate now, she's so in the mix now. I mean, that could have just opened it, because now that she's kissed him and opened that whole thing up and created that. I mean, and the fact that he's staying, that's going to make it worse for her.
The only thing else I can think about on that is her thinking, okay, you need to have skin in the game on this as well, not just your career,
right?
But I need you to know that
Yes.
if I die, a part of you dies with me, sort of thing. Maybe that's what she was going for.
Well, that, and that's the whole line by the special place in hell for a man who makes his word a woman. So yeah, I want you to have some skin in the game.
Reinforcing her relationship with him. I'm not just your CI. We are people who've known each other and have a past together. Yeah. Ava looked like she was going to vomit the the episode. I just also wanted to say that. Everywhere she turned, she just, honey, here's a ring. Oh,
thanks, yeah.
And especially when she was going into the hardware store with Errol.
Oh, right.
And she sees Mike, the hardware store guy.
I think it was the fluorescent lights.
Yeah. She's walking down the aisles like... She looks like she's going to puke the entire episode.
Great to see Limehouse again, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'm glad he's back.
Yes.
And great to see Bob and Errol. I mean, it was great. It was having the band back together. I mean, they had really good ways to bring these people back in. It seemed very organic and stuff. It wasn't just shoehorned. That was great. I really loved it.
Of course, now that Constable Bob is back, I don't want anything to happen to him.
Yeah.
It's
Which is likely that it will then.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. So...
But
okay.
you never know, though. I mean, we only sort of got a sense that he was going to be back one episode. So
but
this may
it looks
be
like it may
a
be
one-off
two.
thing.
Hopefully,
I
it'll be
hope
a little
it's
bit longer.
more.
It would be nice. But okay, so obviously Raylan has to call him because he can't let anybody know that Ava's AWOL, because that would be bad.
Yeah.
So he called. I'm going, wow, he's the one guy who's going to call for this. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Constable Bob. So it was, and just the reveal of him, they're shaving and everything. It's like,
Shaving with a straight razor.
Yeah, because
Because it's badass.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. It's badass. But it was great because we got to see he's got a new ride. The gremlin's gone, and he's going up in the world. He's not quite the town cover.
I would have just painted the gremlin and had
They
him,
probably couldn't
pimp his new ride to Raylan.
But I don't think they have that gremlin anymore. My guess is that
No.
it's not running or whatever, so they had to. But it's nice to see that he upgraded. He even his uniform was upgraded too.
Oh, nice little tie tack with a chain on it.
Constantly Bob. And he's
Didn't-
carrying a taser.
Didn't come for free.
Speaking
though,
of which, we had a taser, we had a cattle prod.
I know. It's a very green episode. They're doing things.
Okay, and what was the? So he obviously Constable's found him at Noble's Hauler, or caught up with him. Then.
Constable Bob, crack tracker, by the
yeah.
way,
And smart enough to go ahead, and the whole
exactly.
thing. He was like,
He was like, bam, 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 on
absolutely,
it,
and
on it.
Yeah. And then when he has his little tete-a-tete with Raylan outside the hardware store, he goes, well, Errol's a big guy. How am I going to... This is my favorite line. Well, you got a badge and a set of balls. Use them. So there you go.
I got balls like Death Stars.
Yeah, which of course, Patton's a big, huge Star Wars fan and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so then he goes into let's go when he's in the hardware store.
Yep.
What I didn't get everything. I didn't have time to stop everything. What was actually looking at the piece of paper, the insert that they put in there?
I
was it
didn't
nonsense?
stop it.
What did they have on it?
So there was Raylan's phone number on the top. There was a picture of something.
Yeah,
it could
or something.
Yeah,
Doodle? Yeah,
there
that's what it
was
looked
the
like.
word, Ava, and then like feed Hannah. I think he had to feed his dog or something.
Feed Hannah, nice.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah,
Oh, God.
it was really important that he not see it though,
Yeah.
because if he did, he would see Raylan's phone number on the top and his name.
I know that's the
So,
thing.
yeah.
I was like, why? Just don't bring the damn piece of paper in there.
Yeah,
Well, it was the warrant.
it was his It was his prop.
He could have just said,
you know,
warrant.
because there's a warrant.
Yeah.
Here's the part I loved about that was when he's practicing in front of the clerk.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh yeah.
He's in the harbor, and he's just standing there. saying
just
it to
watching
himself.
him.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on? Yeah, he doesn't do that outside. No, he does it in front of people. That was great.
Do you mean take him out?
I'm not following you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, take him outside.
Take him outside. Take him outside.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
And just tased him, and it looked like Errol got it in the grits, if I may be so bold. I mean, I think
Right.
that's what it seemed like. He's like, damn.
He went down like a sack of potatoes.
Yes, he did.
Fun, moment for Constable
Yeah, it
Bob,
was
and
good.
then
It was great
his,
to bring back.
what do I do now? But he was not fazed by the tase.
Yeah.
He was just like, okay, this is
Yeah.
what I do next.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I am ready. Because why? Because I was born for this shit. We love Constable Bob.
That wasn't a one-off, right? He's
We
gonna be
don't know.
around.
We just know of the one. Maybe in another one. We don't know.
We don't
Oh,
know.
you haven't heard? Okay.
No, I have not heard. I've not been able to figure it out.
Okay. Well, hopefully he is.
Hope he comes back, and I hope they surprise us.
Yeah, it would be nice if we did it one more time.
Yeah.
I think you should go out in a blaze of glory. A hail of gunfire. We're moving on to Albert.
Are we done with Boyd and boys?
We haven't got to their storyline. We're
okay.
going to
All right.
move on to. We're still dealing with the Ava AWOL situation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
sorry.
I wanted to transfer over to how that affected Catherine and Wynn, and that brought Albert back into the.
Right.
Got him back into the storyline as well.
Well, that's when she ditched everything, when she
Right.
realized that even the people who are supposed to protect her don't
even
have
know where Albert
their
is.
finger on Ficus yet.
Right.
And that was a great setup, by the way. Catherine and Wynn. First of all, Wynn coming into Catherine's place, and she's got her kids there. And she tells them, "Grandkids, thank you, grandkids. No more fighting on lock you in the closet."
Yeah, Grandma's
but the
gonna put you in the
look
closet.
on Wynn's face when he's like, "What are these strange beings? What are these things doing in your house? I don't associate those little things with you." And I thought that was great.
But see, that's the thing about being, that was what was fascinating about The Godfather was, you got to see a family around a crime family, So, it's always interesting to see, that Jerry Burns or Wynn Duffy is a surfer.
Yeah.
From Hawaii.
Oh, the kids are there. So they've decided that they put somebody on Albert's place because obviously Catherine's concerned about Ava being a rat. Because of the history with Avery and him, ratting out
her husband.
Grady, excuse me.
Grady.
And so. And just when Rachel and Tim are driving by and he notices, I mean, that's like, damn, he's good. How does he know that? Yeah, he's good. He spots him from 100 yards away. Okay, don't slow down, don't speed up. I mean, all that.
Yep.
Oh, it's good. I thought the reveal of that was because I was really worried. I was like, oh man, Raylan sent Tim to go get Albert. They're waiting for him. Something's
It's going to get blown.
Yeah, I thought it was going to get. Yeah, I didn't see this thing turning out that way. And then equally as good, they have him. They send the whole ruse to have him go to the hotel to meet Cindy, and then they're watching. I mean, all of that stuff was like lots of fun for me because I was like, I did not see any of this coming.
No.
As soon as they revealed Tim and Rachel in the other room.
In the next door.
Okay, that means it's under control. That means that they can, step in and stop at any time.
Yeah.
You could stop at any time.
Anytime now.
Rachel, you can stop
Anytime.
at any time. And the fact that they just let it keep going is...
And she's got their finger raised, like, wait,
you can take one more.
Yeah,
you can take one more.
And, at some point, I thought afterwards, I was thinking, if we'd gone back in there, it would have been great if Albert at some point, after he got hit one time, he's looking at the door going,
well, he kind of does.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, well, he verbally says, I don't want to be here anymore.
Uh-huh.
And
you think he's saying,
talking to them? To the other room, come get me. This is okay. Okay, we made a deal.
Yeah.
So to his credit, he did take it.
He did, like a man.
He did.
Yeah, fist bump me, dude.
That's right.
Take it like a man.
Thank you for your cooperation. By the way, we should mention that this episode was directed by John Avnet. Well, big time. That's great. Good time movie director, all kinds of things. Yeah, it's terrific. So it was good to see. All right, so moving on to that. So, of course, they believe. I thought they believed Albert very quickly. I was surprised by that. But I guess.
Wynn Duffy did.
Well, I mean, but then I thought about it and I'm going, well, yeah, it is Albert. And you'd think a guy like that would give it up pretty quickly if he was getting hit by a cattle prod.
Right.
But they believed him and left. Well, that didn't surprise anybody?
It didn't, because the thing that did it for me was when he said, I loved her.
That
was the thing that made me go, okay, that's...
That was just weird enough. I loved her enough to love her, and also to try to hurt her with the knife thing and get her put in prison.
Yeah, because if I was Wynn Duffy, I'd be like, I'm prodding you, you're not telling me, and then because he held that back for a little bit, and then he got tased, I think 3 times before he said, "Look, I was in love with her," and that to me that was sort of a convincing revelation.
Oh, because it didn't happen up front; it happened afterward. It was something he withheld, and
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, right. that was why. I felt like they took it.
By the way, Mikey seemed to really enjoy the cattle prod.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did. I think he liked using it.
We found Mikey's
Scrabble playing?
Scrabble playing and his level of intelligence.
Yeah,
right.
we got to witness it today.
Yes.
Yes, it was. It was very perplexing.
It was perplexing.
All right. By the way, okay, now on the Scrabble board, we saw the insert of the paper that Constable Bob was looking at the Scrabble board, said, "Quiet saint into goats."
Yes.
Before Applex was put down.
And we know from having Dave Blass come on our show that the Scrabble boards are not done by chance.
No.
They plan those.
Quiet saint
into goats.
Yeah.
And then a plex.
Plex, which was my favorite line, by the way.
What is
Do
it?
tell.
A plex. It's not. Yeah, I don't like that guy. He aplexes me. and then the tag on that was, "You look aplex."
That was the callback was perfect.
Yeah, that's a great callback.
And I was just wondering when it's going. Yeah, and I get this guy working for me.
Yeah, he just sighs.
So what are you gonna do? But he's wins choo-choo.
Yeah.
It's the same deal.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of that, let's get to the Avery Ty and Seabass and the whole thing, that storyline.
Okay.
All right, so it comes down that they know that the property's being bought up, and they know they figure out obviously that who's behind it. Somebody's behind it. Not only they know that they're doing it, but how do they know which properties we're interested in?
Right.
So they figure they got a leak somewhere.
Somebody's got it.
And that little scene between Avery and I'm sorry. Before we get to that, do you want to talk about the skimming, or was there any more that you wanted to add to the skimming part?
just that I liked. I like Choo Choo's sense of humor.
Yeah.
That he dug deep for those lines.
Yeah.
Skim milk. Got any skim milk?
And I love that he gets stuck on that. That does really upset him because she's skimming the $40.
Yeah.
That's just wrong. He has his sense of right and wrong. He's got his code.
And the minute, the code, exactly.
Yeah.
So
you get 40 million over here, but that's 40.
And it wasn't, they made the decision to put it in there, so look for the payoff later.
Yeah. So, okay, and then we had that little showdown between Ty and Avery. And, it seems like Avery is coming to the point where he's no longer having fun here. He seems to be more pissed off than anything. Because the first time we saw him, it's all, hey, I'm smoking a joint with Catherine. And it just gets harder and worse. And now he just looks like he's ready to, start shooting himself.
Right.
Not shooting himself, but shooting other people.
Yeah, I like that they shot that in the basement. It reminded you of the three characters. Markham, Walker, and the Excelsior 5200. Because honestly, unless you see that every once in a while, you have to remember that's the focus point. That's where that's where everyone's going to be headed. Again, one of those. Okay, what? Just like last week, what was she going to say?
Right, exactly.
Okay,
right.
What was Walker going to say?
Yeah, don't you want to know? It's like, I love how they're doing that.
I love that they shut him down.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not thinking, well, what could he say?
Exactly.
He's going to talk freely, sir.
It's a clever little writing deal.
It is.
What?
So if we can take ideas from our viewers, our listeners, send in what you think he would have
What would
said.
Ty have said to Avery?
But I
to
agree.
speak freely.
Markham's getting pissed.
Yeah.
Because
this is supposed to be easy.
No one's taking their money.
No.
And they're saying we're giving them a briefcase full of money and these without 2 acorns to rub together, and they're not taking the money.
And they also let out that for every property we don't get, it means tens of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Whoa, what the? I don't understand the scope of this thing yet.
Right, because there is a limited amount of property that we can develop, essentially.
Right. And I was just going, okay. I'm wondering at some point, are we going to get the map? Are we going to find out, okay, we need all these? I don't know.
Right.
So I love that they're panicking anyway, because I still don't understand the scope of this yet.
Right.
So I haven't got a grasp of that yet. So,
real quick, let's go back to just the one thing. We're talking about the writing. Ava says they're talking about, again, the timing is off when Ava and Boyd are talking, and he said, "Well, you wanted to hang around." She goes, "Well, that was before you decided to poke the bear and pitch a tent right out front." And I'm like going, really? You guys don't check that line? Okay, poke a bear and pitch a tent. Okay, never mind.
I'm not sure where you're going with that.
You're bringing it up. You got to say it, Steve.
Pitching a tent.
Oh, all right.
I just thought that was kind of funny that it got through the writing room. But anyway, moving on.
All right, so we're moving on.
Back.
So Avery tells Ty to take care of this, find out who it is. Of course, they end up at Calhoun's, and poor Calhoun, he had a nice little meeting with his masseuse or whomever.
Or accountant, whatever she is.
Caprice.
What?
I think her name was Caprice.
Caprice, is that what it is? Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Fine call, fine
she's,
masseuse.
and she's, a nice little.
Well, she's no
She's
way.
another pretty girl in Harlan,
Yeah,
but she's no
absolutely.
Ava.
Yeah.
It's true.
And then so Seabass and Choo Choo decide they want to get information out of, and then he goes. I like Seabass goes through the song, and it reminded me how many times have we seen these things? You know, when they're about to, lay into somebody or torture somebody. There's all this story just to create all this tension.
Yeah.
And they'll let
This is
Calhoun
what's
talk.
coming.
Absolutely. And I'm Calhoun. I'm going just what do you just ask him already? But no, they just keep building and building the tension. And by the end of it, I don't know what's going to happen. But the fact that Choo Choo lays him out with one punch, that kills me.
And he's bleeding out his ear, so
Oh
he's
my
obviously
God,
that is
yeah.
bad. You want him slapped like a girl? You do it. You ask me, you get the Amtrak.
Was that one of your favorites?
Yes, it
That
was.
your
Yes,
favorite?
that was
Okay.
my line.
Yeah, I like that
Oh my
too.
God.
Again, it's just one of those things
Yeah.
where, I guess that happened before Choo Choo took that mortar to the head or whatever the hell happened to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just a great way to kind of take you somewhere else because
Yeah.
we haven't really gone anywhere else in this episode.
Well, and it also shows that I don't know if Choo Choo's impulse control is very
Right, exactly.
tuned in.
No.
I don't think so.
You get the train.
And sometimes there's a little
But
miscommunication.
what a great way to create a problem for them, though, is like, okay, we're going to get information out of him. Now we just suspended that, so now we still don't know.
Right.
And what? No
And we got
offense.
a dead
Yeah,
body.
Exactly, got a dead body. So, that just creates more grist for the mill and stuff like that, and they'll keep that thing going. And they're still going to be in the dark about who is it going to be Boyd? Is it going to be Raylan that's causing all this trouble? So they're still going to have to figure. And how are they going to find out now? Because where are they going to go? Unless they learn of the ledger.
There's no way Calhoun could have given it up.
Yeah.
Had he given it up, then
It's
Markham
too soon.
would
Yeah,
have.
they would have acted too
they
soon.
would
But
have
now
acted.
they have two fronts they have to deal with instead of fighting one front. So that's very good for us because that'll make for a way more interesting deal. Speaking of a new front, let's talk about Boyd and who he enlists in help
Yes.
from. And this is great because Jeff Fahey, obviously many people know him from Lost, but he has a great movie career as well. Good to see him on the screen playing that guy.
Uncle Zachariah.
Yeah, Ava's uncle. Has no love lost for the Crowders because of Bowman's
Really? How could you
treatment.
tell?
Yeah, and, I thought the production design. I loved the house they had him set up at, the
yeah.
antlers and the fire burning.
Yeah.
And it's like, what
Just
is going on here?
completely
The
unattended
hides on the
fire just
wall.
burning, you know.
Yeah, it's like, what is this place and
Yeah.
who's the owner?
Yeah.
I mean, didn't that freak you out? I don't know if our buddy was part of that.
I don't either. We have to check.
We have to check on that, but.
It was reminiscent of the bar that they all hung out last season.
Right.
That our dear departed friend owned briefly. Who's Nicholas and
Oh, you.
the
I don't know
character.
who you're talking
You're
about.
talking about Dewey Crow.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Berg,
Dewey
geez, okay.
Crow. Oh my gosh.
All right, but so yeah, I just thought the production design was great. I was
Yeah.
just like, who the hell? And then of course when you first, and of course the way Boyd is acting, Boyd is like so put those away, and the whole thing is like, who the hell could be that intimidating?
Scary, yeah.
Yeah.
To Boyd.
Exactly. And he comes and he knows he's gonna get him out with the shotgun, and he's got the. I'm just going. And I love that they waited. They didn't tell you for a while who the heck he was in the relationship and how all that went down. But and it's like, oh wow, yeah, that makes sense. That
Right.
makes sense. Nicely done for me.
Yeah, and I wonder if at least some of that detritus was there before they got there.
I don't know.
You
That's
know,
a great question.
Was it
all-
completely
Did they
done by the
ship
art
it?
department,
Yeah,
or was
that's it.
some of that found and we just added a little color?
I don't know.
flavor?
That would be very interesting.
Yeah,
but I
I'd
mean,
love to know.
kudos to them because I thought it looked great.
But
And
it looks, authentic.
and with the fire burning and the bricks, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
I
that's
really
great.
wanted to know
Yeah.
who this person is and what the hell that's all about.
Yep.
And, without saying a word, I mean, for me, it set up a great stage for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see him come out and the whole thing, and then he was his rantings about, being underground in the mines and the shafts and deterioration and the things that he likes to do is just all. It's like, what is this guy?
Right.
And of course,
Right.
this is everything to do with the mine opening that Boyd learns about is 187 yards away from. The money.
The money.
The money.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to partner Boyd and the boys up with a guy that wants to see Boyd die.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
that seems crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, even when they're looking down the now open shaft that blew open.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like saying to Boyd all the things that could go wrong.
Yeah,
He's looking forward to Boyd going
gonna be
around.
fun, isn't it?
And I love the fact that they bring up the fact that didn't you make a promise to your mama you would never
Never go
ever
back
there.
go back to
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I did. Now we did learn about black.
Damp. Black damp and white damp.
Yes, black damp. We learned about black damp. So I've got the pool. Someone's getting black damp.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, and I'm guessing Carl.
Maybe even Carl, because we
Yeah.
talked about it. To Carl.
Well,
Or
you know-
it could be, Earl.
We got
because-
Carl, Earl, or the pig, and the pig has already been, the pig already says, I know this stuff, so he's going to hang for a little while. Carl's already damaged. He can't
Well,
hear.
I'm saying it's going to be Earl because I think it would affect Carl. We know Carl more, and his little brother gets killed.
So Earl?
Earl's the younger
little
brother. He's
That's
the one that
who-
got
that's who
blown
I'm
off the
talking about
thing.
then.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I think
that's
it's
who I'm
going to
talking
affect
about.
Carl more. And,
Yeah.
And because Carl brought him into this, and
Yeah.
all that other stuff. So I think it, and the fact that Earl just got blown off the thing. But first of all, that was so strange. Okay, Zachary said,
Thank
"Get
you.
out of here! The sparks are gonna, the methane's gonna rise," and I'm going so. And then he
So
says,
what do you
"Okay,
do?
Get back up there."
Go back up there." It's
And
like,
yeah.
what? Wait, what?
Exactly.
What?
Exactly.
I
And
didn't understand
he's
that
hugging the
at
pillar.
all.
Well, he's hugging the pillar, and then he's hearing the rumbling of something's
Or
going to happen.
smelling it or hearing. I don't know what he's. But then he says, "Get." I was like, "Wait a minute! You just said stop with the sparks and the methane." So I don't understand. I didn't get any of that. It was like, I did not get that. Did anybody get that?
No. I didn't get it either.
Okay.
He's talking about it being cheap concrete.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, why don't you have just...
Was it cheap? I thought it was.
No, he
it was the
said
same
we
stuff.
used, he said it's real cheap, the same stuff they used on the
okay.
base of the...
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, wouldn't it be easier just crumble the concrete around the... But, whatever. We didn't get the squib, but we did get the explosion.
It was fun. It was good.
And
good
here's the
stuff.
other thing. So they do a shot of the saw going into the water.
Right.
Why?
I was
just
waiting for
adding.
that saw to fall on his chest
Still going?
in the water. Yes,
Yeah?
that's how I thought we were going to lose him.
That's what the show has done for you.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
think
I'm just
anytime you
waiting-
see
I
heavy
am.
machinery or
The only thing I can think of is they were going
big
to
power
need
tool.
that saw to once they're in the tunnels. There was a reason they were going to need that saw because that was a shot of that thing going. So
I don't know. Maybe just editing. Who knows? Maybe they just needed to cut around something. Who knows? I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know.
So are they going to go to the scuba shop in Harlan to get breathing masks to now go into?
I don't know.
so that they don't-
We haven't really been in the mine except for one flashback scene. We've seen people coming out of the mine, but we've never been in the mine except for the one flashback scene that we had. In the
Well, you don't think
whatever season it was.
Zachariah's got a whole bunch of equipment in his shed? He used to be. This is what he used to do.
He may, sure.
I don't know.
Why not? You think they would have brought it with them? They brought gear that they threw on the ground. I don't know what it was though. Was it just?
Yeah, it didn't look like
Yeah,
I
it
mean, the
didn't-
saw was the
Yeah,
biggest
and they just
thing.
threw it on the ground. So
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
They use Earl as a canary. Just
Right.
You go ahead.
You can't hear anyway.
You can't hear.
Just go.
Just send him in.
Drops.
Yeah, everything's fine. Go in.
Man.
Yeah, so we're going to have some interesting stuff happening in the mine shaft. There's going to be, probably they got to dig 187 feet. Or
180 yards.
Yards. And, or blast it, but
Yeah.
that's pretty tricky,
Not
wouldn't
only
you
is it
think?
tricky, but I think that's gonna, alert people.
Might-
to your-
Yeah.
That's what I mean by tricky.
Yeah.
And they made a point of saying, "Oh, this stuff's really rickety. There's
Yeah.
there's
Yep.
corroded."
So if someone's
posts
gonna
and-
get lost in that shaft,
Yeah.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it started out with them talking about mining and stuff, and that's where they're going back to.
Yeah, back to their roots.
Mm-hmm.
How does that play into your theory about going backwards and forwards? And you have any? Did you have any thinking on that?
He's
or-
going right back to where he started.
Uh-huh.
The only thing he's missing is preaching the white gospel to
Right.
everybody on that little podium that he was standing on.
Right.
He's trying to make his life, and again, I love the fact that now he's on board, she is, and she's on
Yeah,
board,
they
he
just
isn't,
can't
and
get on the
they
same
cannot
page,
get
yeah.
on the same page.
All right, so obviously I don't have anything else, unless there's anything else for this particular episode. I wanted to talk about what they have for the coming ups, and then we'll get to the other things.
Do you want me to do my shout outs and stuff now, or do you want me
No, let's do
No,
them
got it.
afterwards.
Okay.
But because we were let this episode with Raylan deciding, I think I'll stick around.
Right.
And then, of course, we saw that he did stick around. I mean, I just want your ideas or thoughts on what is he thinking? What is he, I don't get is he just putting pressure on Boyd? What's the thought behind that? I mean, I can't even suss what that is.
I honestly don't know where they're going with this, because if you just spent, a few minutes of lecturing Ava about trust, and we know what we're doing, and all of this stuff, and we're not going to get burned if you do, and then say, I'm going to hang around.
Yeah, I know, because he said the safest place for you here, and I'm going to protect you. And I'm going, you being there with Boyd, that is just going to put him on edge and go, what the hell are you doing here?
Well, here's the thing. We are not quite halfway through the final season.
Right.
So I think there absolutely needs to be some more digging that happens. And I mean, digging yourself into a deeper hole, because we've got to come out of it.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So I think that Ava and Raylan are going to sleep together.
Whoa, okay.
I do.
All
I
right.
do.
You do.
Because as we were joking before, it just makes things way more complicated. And I don't think any of us has any idea where Ava's head really is. Is she...
I'm not sure she knows. It changes from moment to moment. I think she's doing anything she can to survive, and that's why I think it just changes. Like, what's the next? It's moment to moment. How do I stay alive?
I agree with that. And I think that Ava's arc for this season is she just got out of prison. She's dealing with, the betrayal that she feels from Boyd. She's trying to kind of get her legs back under herself and become the powerful woman that we know she can be.
Right.
Because she's still a little bit in I don't want to say a victim space, but she's not entirely at stake in her own future right now. She's got a lot of ties to...
she has to please everybody else before she even has a future.
Exactly. So I think before we see her emerge as the phoenix from the ashes, some things need to be
She's got to
burned.
burn.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's sort of my thought on Ava.
Okay. So would you agree with that thing? You think she's going to stay together?
Absolutely.
Okay.
She's trying to negotiate her way out of there, and even in her negotiations, Raylan's saying, "Yeah, you're shooting too high."
Yes,
so
Right, $100,000.
Just to be devil's advocate, I'm going to say they will come to that point where they will almost, but they won't sleep together.
Okay.
I don't know. Because I would hope at that moment he would realize, no, this is not a good idea. Yeah, it would be fun and all that kind of stuff, but this is not good for her.
What does Raylan get, though?
Exactly. I think because that would just make things horrible. It could make things really bad for her, and I'm hoping that he would say, no, that we should do this.
No, because, and then my argument would be that he's coming from, I am good for her.
Oh,
I am better for her than Boyd is, because I can protect her. Because I can protect her. And we're going to go to Florida, and she's going to get to go to the beach.
But can you really see them having a future together? She and not that they would expect that. I'm just wondering. I'm posing. Would they ever have a future together? Those two. I'm talking about Raylan, of course. Raylan and Ava.
And Ava, sure.
Yeah, I don't see that ever happen.
You just see Raylan as the eternal playboy vagabond.
No. I just don't. I think because they could have at one point, but I think I don't know. How does he overlook the things that he knows that she's done? And maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. But I don't see her being. I think that the roads that they've taken won't allow them to continue in a road together.
I think if Ava had all of the things that are trying to kill her taken care of and out of the picture, she would want to stay in Harlan. And I don't think Raylan wants to stay in Harlan.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if Florida is going to where he ends up, but it's where he's going to
sort of played everything he can there.
Yeah. And now I can see him saying, once this is over, let's take a shot at this.
Right.
But sleeping together while she's the CI and all this is going on.
That's some good TV.
It is good TV. It was great.
That's why I'm saying it. It's good TV.
What do we got for shout-outs?
So thank you for your tweets and your comments on YouTube. We really appreciate them. Baron of Hell, BMGNZZ, Adonis Davis is the one who pointed out that it's been 10 plus episodes since Raylan has had to put someone down, as he said. Skylar, there's Rod. Joe Sterlitz and Ben Hamill who write comments a lot, and we really appreciate them. So thank you guys, and thanks for the tweets. Do send us. There were a couple of questions that I've gotten for writers for VJ Boyd.
We'll have him in.
Send those. Keep sending those.
Yeah, VJ Boyd will be here in episode 8, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's 3 from now.
So 3 from now.
So if you have questions that you want us to pose, please send those to us.
And one question I got was, somebody was asking, and we'll talk about it later, but someone was asking, do they think that he could fit something into a script, which was kind of a joke. And the thing is that they shot their last episode, the finale this week. So there's no more writing for Justified happening at this point.
No. So, all right. Last thoughts here before we get out of here.
I'm excited. I loved getting back to Noble's Holler and seeing Limehouse. Yeah. Of course, Constable Bob, and kind of like, we talked a couple weeks ago about how Graham Yost didn't want to make it a greatest hits season, and that they did they've done a really good job with bringing people back in, and kind of like making us remember some of the things we love, like apple pie last week.
Bringing
some of the things
in.
that we love, and
no, it is a greatest hits in the sense that they brought all these things back, all those great characters that we'd like to see, but they've done it in such a way that really has thickened the plot and has made it way more interesting,
and it feels organic.
Absolutely.
That's the trick. It really feels organic. It just feels like we're getting to revisit places that have always been, and they didn't bring this in just for like, hey, special appearance.
Right.
Yeah, if they brought Corals back with his one arm, that might be much.
Be awesome,
but if they can figure that out, that would be fabulous.
Maybe see him in jail. Maybe see him in jail.
Waving his stump.
All right, let him tell you one more time where you can find you.
You can find me at Bottomley Stephen on the Twitters.
I am at Tamara Berg on Twitter. Also, my website is tamaracentral.com.
That's right. You can find me here at AFTERBUZZTV.com/Justified.
All day, every day.
That's right. Okay, thanks very much for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later, apple pie.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.